I'm here to talk today to the genius behind Orden Ogan. Seeb, thank you very much for taking the time. New album, The Order of Fear, out July 5th on RPM. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Always a pleasure to see you in good spirits. And this album has me in good spirits, at least based on these singles. The single that you released already, I'm excited about the prospects of this record. But how's things going with you?
I'm doing great, thanks. We're just back from a 4-week tour with our friends in Feuerschwanz, the German medieval metal band. If you know, I don't know if you know them.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, that was amazing. Feuerschwanz really grew really big in the last years, and so it was an amazing tour. Like played like 2 to 4,000 people each night, so that was really, really, really nice. And super great people, amazing crew. No stress with anyone. Like the crew was great, the bands were great, the audience was great, so that was amazing. The only downside, a little bit or letdown, whatever, was that everybody got sick very quickly into the tour, and yeah, especially for a singer, as you can imagine, that really sucks if you get a cold. And yeah, I'm still like, you can hear it maybe like a little bit lower than I normally, but it's fine. I'll get back there.
So let's talk about this record. And the first question that I have for you, I haven't listened to the album yet, is do the singles tell the story? Are they a good representation of what the album is going to be like?
Yeah, I mean, what does say? Let's not say good representation, because the one single is a ballad and the other one is like a yeah, mid-tempo forward kind of heavy metal tune. They tell the story. It's once again more or less a concept record, like we always did, like since 2012. Um, but I do think it's a good representation in terms of that. I personally think that both of them are really good songs, and this is always what it is about in Orden Ogan. Like, try to write really good songs, and yeah, I mean, the Order of Fear turned out to be like one fan favorite straight away when we played it live, with all the people shouting the fear and sing along in the chorus and everything. So that works really well. You always hope that a song works like this if you write one like that, but you just know at the moment where you play it live, that's the first moment where you really realize if people really like the song or not. And yeah, next week there will be the next single out. It's called Moonfire, and it's a continuation of the story after what just happened with Alistair Vale. And I think you will like that one as well.
So you guys are leaving, at least my impression based on the singles, you're leaving a little bit, more than a little bit, that sci-fi world of the previous record behind, moving into a different realm. Does that allow you to maybe go back to a more throwback Orden Ogan sound?
Yeah, the thing is that the story of Alistair Vale, actually you could compare it like from the setting. The closest would be the Dark Tower series from Stephen King. So it all basically plays after like a nuclear war scenario, after there had been like a high-tech civilization, and this allows us basically to jump into every setting that we want to, like from a western to like some more medieval stuff, until through the sci-fi world of Final Days, and now more back into the like say 1800s, something like that. And the sci-fi sounds that we had, we always try to put the theme of the record also in the music a little bit. So this is why we had like the electronic sound and the dubstep sounds and all these elements in Final Days, because that was like more sci-fi oriented. But yeah, this time it actually was a little bit the other way around, because we knew that we wanted to do a more heavy metal record, like reduce it a little bit more, like put away the orchestrations, and put the guitars more in front and everything, and have like more of a traditional heavy metal Orden Ogan record, if that makes sense. And so it also felt right to put the scenery in a way that we did it now.
And you guys are releasing this album with RPM, your first album with RPM, changing labels at this point in your career. What are you looking for from a label? that you feel Orden Ogan not only needs but deserves?
Are actually for us like having a little bit more of insights in the label landscape. In Europe, there are actually just 2.5 options to go. You know, like yeah, option number one would have been Napalm Records. Option number who made a great offer, and it could have just as well could have been on Ogan on Napalm at this point. Option number 2.5 would have been Nuclear Blast, but Nuclear Blast are basically like the same big company as AFM Records. So as we went away from AFM, we didn't want to go to Nuclear Blast at that point. And so option number 3 now is RPM, which is I don't know if you know the backgrounds about it, but RPM is basically Atomic Fire.
Atomic Fire, yeah.
And Atomic Fire is basically a lot of the old Nuclear Blast people, like the original, the OGs, if you want, yeah, the original Nuclear Blast people. Plus, there's a new investor, and they're also like 2 of the people, Jochen and Niels, who have been the label managers and the owners of AFM Records before. You know, they left AFM and now so it's basically the best of all worlds, like the people that I've worked with, and also the old Nuclear Blast people who have like a lot of experience and really know what to do. And it's just at this point it might look for some people like, okay, there's a label I've never heard of, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of people will very soon hear a lot about it. I mean, the first signing that they did was Kerry King, so I mean, this is basically saying, okay, here we are, you know. So yeah, I do think that was the best choice for us at that point, because like I said, I mean, I've had great experience with Napalm Records when we worked with Angus McSix with Napalm Records, so they did a really good job, and but at this point it felt better to go with RPM with Orden Ogan.
Now, working on this record, you obviously have a lot of experience, not just working on your own records, but working with other artists. Do you take knowledge and experience that you gain working with other people and then infuse that into your own album making process when it comes to Orden Ogan?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the biggest advantage that you have as a music producer is working on music like every day, basically. You know, like it's like being a soccer player. You can be as talented as you want to. The difference is the experience and the time that you spend on the field. You know. So this of course, yeah, this is like every day there's something where you're like, okay, he does it like this. This is interesting, you know. Or a singer who does something a different way, or gives you like another tip on how you could, or like transitions between a bridge and a chorus and stuff like that. You know, if you work on that like every day, yeah, of course it gives you an advantage. Of course you infuse that in your own writing. Yeah.
Do you change your approach from record to record, or do you keep a very linear process across every album?
No, I mean, especially for us ourselves, it's important to change stuff to keep it interesting. So on Ravenet, I can remember that we wrote all the choruses first, and then the rest of the song around it. Then on Gunman, it was the other way around. We just try to see where we will end up if we start to write a song. This time, there's a funny story. I don't know if it's one of your questions, but there's a funny story around it. This time we actually worked with a super fan who wrote a little bit for the record. It's like when we started writing, I had a very clear vision of where I wanted to go with the record. Like I said, I wanted to have like a more stripped down, more traditional heavy metal record, more guitar focused, and like putting back the choirs a little bit, which also worked, and like yeah, put me more in the front as a lead singer instead of like having everything like covered in choirs. And I think to a so it's still like everything a bit over the top. So, but like I said, to a certain degree it worked. But when we started writing, everything felt wrong. You know, like the first ideas was like, I mean, it's very important for me to say, though Orden Ogan has quite a lot of commercial success these days, we mainly do it for ourselves. It's because this is what we love to do. This is what we want to do. It's the music that comes out of us. Like, it's expression. I would even, though I hate this word, but I would even go so far to say, for us, it's really art. We do it because we want to do it, and we think we have something to say. We would even do that if we played in front of 50 people each night. That it's just what we want to do. So if we write stuff and it feels wrong, that's a bad sign, because then we wouldn't like to listen to a record like this ourselves. So we will keep on going until we feel we have really good stuff going on. And it just didn't work in the beginning. And then there's one guy, his name is Santi, and he caught our attention because he was basically putting out an Orden Ogan cover song like every 2 weeks. And he didn't get everything right. Sometimes it was terribly wrong, but sometimes there were also parts, choruses and stuff where he just changed some chords and like made a breakdown where there was none in the original. And we were like, hey man, this is actually pretty good. We should have done it like this in the original song. And so at some point, I just gave him a call and was like, man, it's super great. We listened to your cover version. We really liked it. And for us, it's like a super alien concept to be starstruck, because, like, we're very down to earth, very normal people. But for him, it was like as if James Hetfield gave him a call. It was like, I could barely speak. And then I was like, yeah, we were thinking of maybe you're interested in like writing a song for the next Orden Ogan record. And there was like 10 seconds of dead silence, and it was like, oh man, this is so awesome, and we talked a little bit about where we wanted to go. And then like one day later or what, I had this first idea from him that was so great that we had to put it in one of the songs like straight away. Like he totally got it. I mean, this guy really breathes Orden Ogan. This sounds more like Orden Ogan than what Niels and Patrick are writing, the two guitar players. And so we're like, yeah, okay, this is amazing. I mean, in the end, it was not that much. It was like 6, 7, 8 ideas maybe that made it to the record, and also just a riff here and a melody there. And also it was like a cooperation, because I of course made my vocal lines over his stuff and stuff. But yeah, what it did is it showed us how we're supposed to sound like. And this was just amazing, because at that point songwriting really took off. It was like, and like, yeah, months later or something, we had all the songs written, And he's from Uruguay, so it's on the other side of the planet for us. But he's actually thinking about moving to Germany right now to be like, yeah, co-producing stuff that I work on. And so it's really, really funny, like a Hollywood story, actually.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Like, I'm blown away. I mean, this could turn into a movie or something. I love the story. I love the fact that you guys reached out, and I love the fact that you guys were able to work together. It must have blown his mind. Like, I can
Yeah.
only imagine. Do you ever sit down and analyze the previous records before even starting to work on a new record, in order to kind of like pick them apart so that you can see where you can do better moving forward, or what's in the past is in the past?
Quite the opposite, actually. I actually try to avoid that because I'm afraid that I would copy some elements of the other records, because you've heard it and you still got it in your head. This is also why I try to avoid listening to the majority of power metal records that come out. It's just because I don't want to sound like anybody else. Like, if I copy something, it is an accident. It happens that you write the same stuff. It happened in 2017 when we released the Gunman record. There's a song, it's called Come With Me to the Other Side. And the chorus line is very similar to a song of A Lot of the Lost. But I can actually I have proof that I sent the idea to my band members when the Lord of the Lost record was not even released. So there was no chance I could have even heard that. I mean, that was released before our record, but still I got an email saying, here, this is the song. Do you like it? And that was way before even the first single was released of Lord of the Lost. So Chris Harms and me, we just basically just wrote the same melody. It's like,
You
like I
guys
said,
were
it
connected.
happens.
You guys
Yeah,
were
it
connected,
happens.
really connected.
It happens, but yeah, like I said, I try to avoid, like, especially listening to power metal, to not sound like have something in my head and then just, yeah, redo it.
Maybe it's a German thing. You guys were maybe in the same area code, and some wavelengths got crossed or something. I don't know. That's super. That's kind of freaky, to be honest with you. That's a little bit something out of Black Mirror.
I don't know. I mean, you just have so and so many notes that you can use and chords, and I think it's just natural that at a certain point something repeats itself and sounds very similar. So, but it was funny. It was funny when I like there was some comments when we released the song. Some comments on under the video saying like, "Eh, that sounds like Lord of the Lost," and I really had to listen to it. I was like, "Yeah, man, it really sounds like that." I'm sorry.
You
Yeah.
mentioned that you wanted your vocals a little bit more forward on this record. So when you look back now and you analyze your vocal performance on this album, what did you walk away with? How was it for you?
For the Order of Fear, the vocal performance.
Yeah.
Um, I think I know that I have a tendency to be some sort of a perfectionist and to overdo it. And I know that I've put too much work and stuff in the previous records that it was didn't make any sense actually because it was good already like 10 takes before, you know what I mean? And what I also realized, speaking of analyzing previous records, what I also realized is that sometimes uh, the the demo versions or like the initial idea while recording, like recording guitars, for example, or like first vocal lines, sometimes even if they are not perfect, they have more to it than a perfect version. You know what I mean? Like more expression, like there's just something to it sometimes that's just sounds better than like a completely perfect polished version. And so I try to stay away from overdoing it this time and just try to keep it a little bit more natural. It's like the perfect example is Moonfire. Um, the single that comes next, so the third single. It was I actually recorded the lead vocals for that in, let's say, like 3 or 5 takes, whereas like a real performance, so to speak, could take 50 takes per verse, for example. You know, like per verse. The like one verse, one bridge, one chorus. You sing it like 50 times each. You know, and for Moonfire, I did it like 3 to 5 times, maybe the whole song in a row, because we needed that because we were shooting the music videos so early, so we needed a version that was sort of complete. Um, and then when we were finished shooting the video, everyone was like, "What do you want to redo?" Because I said, "Yeah, it's just demo vocals. I will do it again in the studio." And they were like, "What do you want to redo? It's great the way it is, man." You like, I was like, "Yeah, but it's just the demo." And they were like, "Yeah, come on, fuck it, it's great. Why do you want to redo it?" And this is I try to keep this approach and not do everything like 10,000 times. And I think maybe it's just in my head, but I think it feels a little bit more real, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you think of how the song vocally? Do you think of how a song is going to be live when you're putting down the vocals on the record? Do the two worlds merge with one another?
I have to, because I mean, there's the Rhapsody of Fire approach where everything is like 150% of what you can do. And there's the Orden Ogan approach, because when I have the impression that I barely hit the note because it's at the top of my range, I will just tune down the guitars and play it in another tuning, you know, because I like to perform everything within my comfort zone, so that when I'm getting sick, like on the road that I was like for 4 weeks now, I'm still able to pull it off to a certain point. I mean, of course, if you're in bed with a fever, then there's no chance in hell that you can pull it off. But just because you got a cold and everything, that shouldn't be the reason that you're not able to at least perform it somehow decently. Yeah.
You mentioned the tour that you guys just did with Fire Schwanz. By the way, I love those guys. What a great band! The new record that they have with everything in English, I think is phenomenal. I'm in totally in love with them. I mean, I'm in love with German metal these days. Period. Like I don't know what you guys are doing there. I don't know if it's in the water. I just saw Blind Guardian last night. Like I mean, you guys are absolutely killing it right now. So when you play these tours, when Orden Ogan goes on the road, what is the favorite song from an audience standpoint when it comes to an Orden Ogan set list?
Clearly, Gunman, and of course also the things we believe in. That is the song that we always play last in the set, and those two always, yeah, always have every fist in the air and everyone screaming. Though I have to say, like over the last couple of records, we somehow by accident managed to write a couple of decent songs. So none of them really work well. It's like Fever works really well. Come With Me to the Other Side works really well. Heart of the Android works well. And now the Order of Fear, like I said, that seems to be like an instant fan favorite. They were really like, even the people. I mean, there were a lot of people that were actually, you could really tell, were like hardcore Feuerschwanz fans and maybe have never heard of Orden Ogan before. And even those, like in the end, we got them all screaming, you know. So the Order of Fear is totally, that will be a song that we will have to play until the end of our career, I guess.
I feel like when you're on the road with those guys, it's really easy to tell the fans of one band apart from the fans of the other. I just figure that people come in character to the show, so it's kind of like easy to tell the difference. But it's nice to win them over.
It depends. I mean, actually, I was thinking when we agreed to do this tour, I was actually thinking that there would be a lot more hardcore Feuerschwanz fans and a lot less people that actually know Orden Ogan than they were in the end. So I was actually kind of surprised how many people were really, I wouldn't say coming to see Orden Ogan, but at least how many people are really familiar with Orden Ogan, because it was actually a lot. So we started the show always started off nicely, and it was also always like really great in the end. You could always see that like all the fists until the to the very back of the venue were in the air. So we won them over, like everybody, but almost everybody. But yeah, like I said, I was really surprised. There were quite a lot of Orden Ogan people turning up to those shows as well. Yeah.
And speaking of shows, I got to ask you this question. I know it's difficult. I know it's challenging. I know it's expensive. You can crash at my place. But when are you guys coming to North America to play some shows here?
We will definitely be back in North America next year, though I cannot tell you where we are going, but I know that we are going at least for one show next year. And we are very likely going in the beginning of 2026 as well for a tour, but this is not confirmed yet, so I won't speak about that as well. But it's looking good that we'll meet in person next year, or and the latest the year after.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. You're already giving me something to look forward into 2025 and 2026. I mean, I need all the light at the end of the tunnel that I can get. The last question that I have for you is this: you have a lot of hats. You work with a lot of bands. You have your own projects. You have Orden Ogan. Do you need an assistant? Is time management the biggest thing in your life? Because I don't know how you find time for all of this.
You know, the biggest problem is actually people agreeing to do something that they don't do. This is something that I think it's maybe the biggest problem of any CEO of a company. You know, that people are supposed to do something and don't do it. I actually have an apprentice since last year in the studio who's a great guy, but he's still an apprentice, so you still have to like always push him and be like, come on, do it, man. And we're actually at the moment yeah, making the team bigger and bigger. There's like more and more people coming to the team and do some stuff, so that I have that I don't have to focus on that. Like social media is one of these things where we're actually yeah, putting more people in right now because I'm not the type of guy who really likes to go in front of the camera and be like, "Hey man, this is a new record, blah blah blah." You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
don't see you
I'm
doing TikToks.
yeah, you know, I'm actually more of the introvert person, but I really need people who push me to do that. So yeah, this is going to happen as well. And yeah, to answer the question, yeah, I need those kind of people, but we're working on it to make the team even bigger right now. Actually, yeah.
I love the fact that you're becoming a Jedi Master and you have like little Padawans that you're.
Yeah, he's a nice little Padawan. He will learn. He's learning a lot already at the moment. Yes.
It takes time to become a Jedi Master. You don't become a Jedi Master overnight. So you know, you have to bring your wisdom and be very Yoda like. You know what I
Yoda
mean?
like, yeah.
Be very calm and explain things. You know, I know how it is.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you very much for your time. First of all, speedy recovery with that cold of yours.
Thank you.
The album comes out July 5th on RPM, so everybody should keep their eyes and ears open. Pre-order it. Click on the link. I'm going to put a pre-order link on the description of the video so folks can go and pre-order the record. As always, a pleasure seeing you. A pleasure talking to you. All the best.
Thank you. Thanks for your time and thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you.